Good morning. It's great to be with all of you here today. I'm grateful to be joined by Foodlink CEO Julia Tedesco for today's announcement, especially as we highlight this month as Hunger Action Month, as you can see by the great sign, which takes place each September and helps to raise awareness about hunger in our community and across the country. The COVID-19 pandemic, as you can imagine, did immense damage across our world when it struck last year. It's hard to imagine. It's already been 18-plus months that we've been dealing with the pandemic, but one of the biggest shocks for families was felt at their dinner tables. And with millions of Americans being forced out of work, families were thrust into a situation where they didn't know literally where their next meal was coming from. The statistics have been alarming in terms of the number of people who have food securities across the country and how much that's been exacerbated by the pandemic. So shortly after the pandemic began, we heard from Foodlink and other food pantries across the community saying that their shelves were bare because of sudden demand for their services. And Foodlink is, I'm really privileged to represent an amazing community, but I'm always grateful for exemplary organizations like Foodlink, which is one of the best in the country. And I know Julia and her team were and still are working tirelessly to connect families with healthy food options. We have volunteers here on an ongoing basis. But logistical issues and additional unforeseen expenses presented many challenges for Foodlink. And sadly, when they face challenges, the effects are felt by those who need their services the most. And that's why we're here today to announce a $750,000 investment that I helped secure in the House of Representatives appropriations bill to expand Foodlink's storage and refrigeration capacity. Because of the increased demand, there was a discrepancy between how much food our families needed and how much Foodlink could keep on hand and how they can keep doing their operations. But this expanded capacity, which I'll let Julia talk about, since she's in a much better position to be able to talk about how this can help the operation. But hopefully it helps close that gap and allows millions of pounds of fresh, healthy food to be conveniently stored and distributed across our region, ultimately improving outcomes for vulnerable families. So unsurprisingly, 2020 was a record year of distributions for Foodlink, only to be topped by 2021 as we continue to combat the pandemic. And I think many of us had hoped that the pandemic might be a few months in duration. We're finding, obviously, it's much longer in duration. We're continuing to fight to get people vaccinated and to be able to get a handle on the growth and the spread of the virus. But it is imperative that we get this project done, not only for Julia and her great team, but for the families in our region who rely on these critical services. And the House passed the bill earlier this year. As I said, it's sent to the United States Senate, where it currently sits. And I want to continue to urge my partners in the Senate to join us in the bill's swift passage so we can invest in Foodlink. We've gotten signals from the White House that if the Senate passes the bill, the President will sign it. So that will invest in our community and provide families with meals at their dinner tables. And again, I want to stress what an incredible organization this is. And Julia and her team, Mitch and the whole group, they do such amazing work. And at the height of the pandemic, we were on the phones each day for hours talking about the needs in our community. And Foodlink never, ever fails to amaze us with the incredible work they do and the staff and volunteers. So they are one of the real highlights in our community. And without further ado, let me introduce the CEO of Foodlink, Julia Tedesco.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for being here and thank the Congressman for being here. And before I speak about the project that he referenced, I do want to take a moment and just talk about Hunger Action Month, which we recognize every September. It's a national awareness campaign led by Feeding America and its 200 food banks, of which Foodlink is one of them. And for all of us here, it is not news that 150,000 people in our region are food insecure. The rates have maintained and are still 10% higher than they were pre-pandemic in our region. And these households who are food insecure really have to face difficult choices. They have to choose between purchasing food or paying for medicine, paying for utilities, paying for transportation. Foodlink believes that food should not be an impossible choice for these families or for anyone. And Hunger Action Month is really a time to highlight that. And in fact, that is the national theme this year, is that food should not be an impossible choice for anyone. So this Hunger Action Month, we are encouraging the public to, anyone who shares this belief, to support Foodlink and to get involved. And there's 3 ways you can do that. The first is to donate. About 1/3 of Foodlink's revenue comes from public support, neighbors, common people donating to us, which enables us to purchase millions of pounds of food every single year, to keep the lights on, to deliver food to agencies and clients. The cost of food has risen in recent months and continues to do so, so truly monetary gifts are the best way to efficiently stretch food dollars across the community and to make sure that food is on the table in every single household. Second is volunteers. We have volunteers here today. Every single day Foodlink's in operation, we have volunteers who are helping to make it happen. And just like Congressman Morelle, who's here today, to volunteer as well. Almost every day our food banking operations and our food-related programs rely on volunteers. And so we're asking folks, if you can't volunteer today or this month, to pledge to volunteer sometime in the future. And you can learn more about that by going to our website, www.foodlinkny.org. And third is to advocate, to engage your elected officials, to speak up about programs and legislation, not only that just directly feeds folks, but that reduces poverty and improves food security for you and for your neighbors, including expanded SNAP, commonly known as food stamp benefits. And finally, I want to thank our friend and our advocate, Congressman Joe Morelle, for his commitment and service to Monroe County, to the households we serve, to Foodlink's work and mission. We thank him for volunteering with us today, for helping to raise awareness, and for fighting for legislation in Washington, like child tax credits, pandemic EBT, expansions to SNAP, and of course the community funding project he mentioned today. This funding project that Congressman Morelle and his colleagues in the House recently supported and passed would help to expand Foodlink's refrigeration capabilities. Over the past year, we distributed more than 26 million pounds of food to our region, a 25% increase from any prior year. The pandemic has put a stress on our infrastructure and stretched it beyond its capacity. For the past year plus, we've ran 2 tractor trailers, refrigerated tractor trailers, 24/7 to help house our perishable product. This project would expand our refrigeration, enabling us to increase the amount of fresh produce, dairy, proteins, and other perishable foods that we distribute to the public and that this community relies on to stay fed. We urge, just as the Congressman said, the Senate to swiftly pass this appropriations bill and to help us fund this critical infrastructure project. So I want to again thank the Congressman for being here today. I want to thank all of our donors and volunteers and advocates for helping to make Foodlink's work possible. And to learn more about Hunger Action Month, you can visit our website, foodlinkny.org. I'm happy to take questions.
Any questions?
Which money would go toward building a new refrigeration unit, or what exactly would the money go toward to help here?
Yeah, I'm happy to let Julia talk about what the project is.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, last year we distributed 26 million pounds of food. We are on track to do the same. In order to do that, we obviously have significant food-related infrastructure, including the warehouse within which you stand now. We have an industrial freezer and cooler, and really we have hit our capacity in that cooler. So the funding specifically would go to expand that cooler space to enable us to continue to store perishable product, which oftentimes is exactly the type of product, nutritious product that tends to be more expensive that food insecure families most lack and have issues in accessing.
Yeah, no question. Great.
Congressman, as you said, you know, the pandemic, I mean, other members of Congress, I'm sure, are the same, you know, communities are in the same boat. It's kind of a no-brainer, it seems like, for Senate to pass this, right?
Well, you certainly think so. I mean, things that seem like no-brainers in Washington always get complicated. But and this is really part of an effort that we made last year to reach out to community groups and tell us what would have the greatest impact on the work that you do and allow you to continue to serve our community. And this was a great project that Foodlink proposed to us, and we were really anxious to move it on. And we not only got it through the appropriations process in the committee, the Appropriations Committee, but also got it passed by the full House. So we're continuing. I've talked to Senator Schumer. I think we're all working to try to get the Senate to agree that our community projects, and the interesting thing is, it's not that Foodlink isn't known, but you know, needs like this don't often get identified in Washington, which is why we really think it's important for local legislators to work with community groups to identify projects like this, which will have a big impact, but might not be on the radar screen by the Department of Agriculture or by other folks in Washington. That's really why this is something we're so committed to. And frankly, our long relationship with Foodlink and the incredible work they do just, you know, helped certainly motivate me to make this a priority.
You know what the timetable is for the Senate to pass that?
Well, you know, we're in the middle of our appropriations process. We have a lot of work that's going on almost all simultaneously, but we would hope in the next month or two decisions need to be made on appropriations. So we're going to continue to push, and the House Appropriations Chair, Rosa DeLauro, who's a friend, has really been working on making sure these projects get funded. So that's what I expect the timetable will be, about 60 days. Great. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, it's funny. We've been having in the Rules Committee series.